Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's special selection comes at us from Wormy, Autoheart, Agoraphobia. No other context on this one. Let's dive into it. I don't recognize the name Autoheart, so I have no expectations moving into this, but agoraphobia, and that's an intense fear of leaving a shelter or your house. Going outside, maybe, is the more technical description of it. I don't know. Let's dive into it and see what the song is about. Maybe see how they capture that through the music.
If you gave me all the money, I would buy such ordinary things like TV, magazines, and coffee beans.
It's a very fast vibrato on all of this.
Tried on 13 different pairs of shoes, and not one made me want to leave this blessed house of mine. That's just fine. I really don't want
The acoustic guitar really gets drowned out by the piano.
I don't really want to go anywhere. I don't really want to go anywhere.
I love those lines.
Dented by the skies, they keep me up at night, and it's not agoraphobia, it's just a lack of air supply that keeps me up at night. I know I'm getting older.
The harmony is really nice.
That I'm not momentarily out of my mind.
Very rigid vocal delivery, though. There's expressiveness in the delivery itself, but that chorus is just rigid rhythms.
Lies to make me realize that I've got a problem. No, I haven't. Let me be. I really don't want to go anywhere. I don't really want to
Oh, nice cannon.
I don't really want to go anywhere. I'm dented by the skies. They keep me up at night, and it's not agoraphobia, it's just a lack of air supply that keeps me up at night. I know I'm getting older, but I'm told that I'm not momentarily out of my mind. I don't really wanna go anywhere. 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 I will not go. I don't really wanna go anywhere. I will not. I don't really wanna go anywhere. I will not. I don't really wanna go anywhere. I'm dented by the skies. They keep me up at night, and it's not agoraphobia, it's just a lack of air supply that keeps me up at night. I know I'm getting older, but I'm told that I'm not momentarily out of my mind.
All right. So lyrically, and we'll touch on the lyrics full on later. I picked up a few lines since the chorus is said like four times across this. Um, it's about an agoraphobic who rationalizes their fear of the outside. Musically, I don't really feel much of that in here, and that's not a bad thing per se. Honestly, the message can be delivered just through the lyrics if that's how they wish to do it. Um, but I thought it would have been cool to hear some elements of the music that might have done that. And I don't necessarily know how to go about creating that fear of the outside in music. So it's not like I'm going to sit up here on some sort of high horse and say, you know, they should have done it, because honestly, I don't know how I would approach it either. But I do like how at the beginning we opened up with the vocals and the guitar quickly got overshadowed by the piano, almost as if the guitar was our agoraphobic and the piano was the outside world being so loud to them, in a sense, overpowering them. That's really the closest I got to finding any thematic ties here. So I think from here on out, I'm just going to neglect it and look at what they did do, because that's typically more important than what they didn't do. I could be here all day talking about how they weren't writing operatic music and it wasn't black metal, and it's just not a good productive activity. What we do have here, though, is a beautiful piece. Um, we have layered foundational concepts coming out of our instrumentation, with our acoustic guitar mostly playing with these constant eighth notes that we would eventually hear reprised later in the vocals in the chorus. These big piano chords sitting above that with a little bit of movement to them, occasionally having notes that take us to the next, whereas be like full chords, and then on beat 4 we might have a single chord that takes us to a single note that takes us to the next chord. Little bits of movement like that, a couple of embellishments, but for the most part primarily chord based stuff. And there was one other instrument, I don't remember what it was, but purely uh, what's the word? Ornamental, giving the song a little bit of extra personality here and there, but not really being present often enough to be called something foundational. That makes up most of the track. It follows a pretty typical, not a typical, a consistent four chord progression throughout most of the track, and it is. I mean, this is singer songwriter or some sort of pop adjacent style, really focusing on a simplicity of the music in order to achieve, I want to say, a complexity of the melody, but definitely a focus on it. And the melody is, at least to me, the one part in here that is unique. It is our vocalist, and the vocals here are shaky, I think, is the intended perception. I don't know who this singer is. I don't know if this is typically their vocal style, but there is a wavering, a quivering to the music, whether it is that quick vibrato when holding a single note or the almost inability at times to stay on a single note, constantly jumping back and forth between two or even having runs up and back down. There is this, again, almost inability to just hold a note out at times, and it almost feels like a quivering of vocal cords when you are anxious or stressed and you can't quite calm your nerves enough to speak with power or authority. And that anxiety or stress could come about through fear. Um, Again, I don't know if it was intentional for this track or if this is just how the vocalist always sings and composes their melodies, but I do see a little bit of connection there. Otherwise, though, I do find it to be just a hair bit off putting, which I know you're like, Bryan, you praised it during the reaction. Yes, I did. In the opening minute or so, I was quite impressed by it from a technical perspective, and I thought it added some nice personality to the track, and it still adds that personality through to the end, but it became a bit much for me, and I just was not a huge fan of it after 4 minutes of hearing this. With all of that said, though, I do think the song is pretty good from a non critical standpoint. It's certainly inoffensive in a lot of ways. I don't think many people would find this difficult to listen to. It has a really nice chord progression to it that I think works well at elevating the juxtaposition that's going on here with the lyrics, and it is just generally easy to listen to. There's nothing wrong with the track by any means, which is probably why I was so harsh on it. It's usually the inoffensive tracks I find that click with me the least, even though on the surface most of the aspects of the track are fine to listen to and I don't dislike. I'd rather a song say something with the music. And unfortunately, I just don't hear that here. And that, of course, doesn't mean that it's not there. I'm just one person who have listened to it one time. As usual with these harsher criticisms, I'm open to conversation in the comments and am actually eager to have my perspective changed on this entirely. I don't like walking away from a song feeling bad about listening to it, which I don't. I'm glad I've heard the track, and like I said, it's not anything that was bad to listen to. It's just I feel like it's a real missed opportunity to have done something else with it, which of course isn't fair to the song. Let me hit some lyrics here, see what's going on, and then we'll wrap this up. So, as I guessed from the couple of lines I picked up during the reaction, that is exactly what this is. It's an agoraphobic irrationally brushing off their agoraphobia, stating that they simply just don't want to go outside. There's nothing that's needed to be done out there. As the hook says, I really just don't want to go anywhere. It's not a fear of the outside, it's just nothing interesting to do. Even goes through many of the verses showing how they're fine doing what they are doing. It's not necessarily a fear of change. They would buy all sorts of new things. They just have simple needs, though. They really don't need to go out and experience new stuff. And if there even was new stuff worthwhile experiencing out there. And, they tried on a bunch of different shoes. None of them really made them want to leave, though. They were fine to wear, but none of them really begged to be walked in. Verse 3 goes on to state, I don't need to be hospitalized. I realize I have a problem. Before backtracking and say, actually, I don't. You should just let me be. It's this constant justification for their actions. The chorus, though, comes in pretty strong. I'm dented by the skies. They keep me up at night. It's not agoraphobia, though. It's just a lack of air supply. Jumping back to the idea of skies being up there in the air, but also I think it's a subtle nod to having a panic attack, not being able to breathe properly while thinking about going outside. It's not agoraphobia, it's just a panic attack. It's just anxiety, right? Just kind of brush it off as something. As long as you don't call it agoraphobia, it's not anything that really needs to be looked into, is it? That kind of vibe is what I get out of it. There is a bit of a shift, though, in our bridge coming into our final chorus, where these really gorgeous harmonies, vocal harmonies, come in. They say, I don't really want to go out anywhere. That's the thing we've been hearing this whole time, but it slowly gets replaced with this very front and center singular vocal where the choir gets kind of pushed to the background. It says, I will not go. And that's really the twist there, isn't it? Agoraphobia can be dismissed as I don't want to go, but the truth that hides under that is I won't go. Even if there was something outside that I would want to do, which there probably is, I'm not going to. I am trapped here. And I really like that turn there. I didn't hear that in the when I did the reaction, but it's a really nice twist. I like that. And I think overall, the song is it does a pretty good job of nailing some of this down poetically. And I'm curious if there's going to be anybody who kind of sees some of themselves in this track and realizes that it's not just the justifications that they make, but maybe they actually are agoraphobic or heading in that direction, and maybe the song will help them, take that first step to getting help. And honestly, with a song like this, maybe that's all that it needs to be. Catchy, an earworm, palatable, uh, works well with the mainstream musical tastes, and delivers a message that some people might need to hear. And I guess that's my thoughts on Autoheart's Agoraphobia. I enjoyed it. But what about you? Let me know down in the comments section your thoughts, opinions, perspectives, and any sort of corrections you want to make on my part, or anywhere that you want to kind of help me clue me into what this song, what it does to draw you in as a listener. Above the comment section is a description box. In there is a link to Linktree. It takes you here. You can find my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three. That wraps it up for today. We'll be back tomorrow checking out another band that only has a maximum of 4 letters in their name and a special selection. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.